Hi, welcome. This is our project for our Miss Redigan Human Dignity and Social Justice class. My name is Thomas Kelley.
I'm Charles Agomuoh.
And today we're going to be breaking down hip-hop music, rap music, and how a lot of people use that to tell their stories.
Yeah, our project is basically a rap literacy project, as you described it to me.
Yeah.
When we first, came up with the project. We're just going to be looking at certain lines in different projects and different albums and really breaking down what they mean.
Yeah.
So one of the first questions I have for Mr. Thomas Kelley is, what is the purpose of this project?
So, in my mind, the purpose of this project is to bring awareness. There's a big stigma around hip hop culture and rap culture, and I feel like it's most important to realize that and to address that, because there are some instances of people being overly vulgar and stuff like that, but also there are a lot of artists that use this medium to tell their story, to try and release their emotion, So I feel like the point of this project is to bring that into view and to be able to recognize and appreciate this art as you would any other art.
I agree with you, really. How did you come up with it?
So I came up with it because me and Charles, for the past 2 or 3 years, have always talked music in class.
Yes.
Last year together, we actually had civil rights with Mr. Monk, sat next to each other. That was a great class. But we always talked about music, and when it came time to do this project, I was like, okay, I was really thinking, what's an issue that I feel passionate about and that I want to personally learn more about? And it was music, and it's a bond that I feel like I share with a lot of people, but especially with Charles, so I invited him on to this project, and here we are.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did have my resentments before joining the project.
Your doubts?
My doubts, as one would say, when I was joining the project, solely because, when we talk about a touchy subject like hip hop and, what it means, it really depends on who's delivering the message, and I just didn't know how it would look, a white privileged man like Tommy himself. I don't want to put you in a box, but I didn't know how it would look if, me and him were going through it, talking about, just what they mean, like we know anything about their lives personally. But, I just thought to myself and reflected, and I was like, it's really about the message, and the message is what we have to spread. So I feel like we have a little bit more insight on, what they're trying to share to the public than a lot of people. So I just feel like that's the goal of this project.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, back to what you said, I have no idea what a lot of these people have gone through. I have grown up in a safe environment in Birmingham, Michigan, where I haven't really been affected by any of this. And I feel like a big purpose for me was learning about these stories that are behind some of the songs that I love to listen to.
And that's major, because people just like to look at it as like, oh, it just makes me feel good, it's the vibe. But no, this is like people's lives that we're talking about. But that really segues into my next question. What do you think about the criticism that hip hop is too vulgar?
I feel like there is kind of that line. There are some people who are too vulgar or vulgar for no real point, but also I feel like, on the contrary, some of that vulgarness is truth. A lot of what these people are going through is a very dangerous and violent state and situation, and I feel like that being spoken is something that not a lot of people can wrap their heads around, and is something that is hard for people to deal with, because it's a topic that not that many people want to address. Almost like, well, these people in these places, I don't know them, I don't see them, so we're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Where I feel like these artists are using hip hop as their way to try and share all this.
It's their lives.
All their emotion,
Yeah, and life isn't life isn't pretty, you know. I feel like that's just their way of saying that, like, this is our life. It's messy, it's chaotic, it's not as nice as, you know, you would like it to be. It's I just think, you know, it really fits the whole, you know, like narrative of hip hop in general. Like, it's a rebellion. It's a fighting against what people want to hide away from. I feel like that's what it really means when they use those strong words, because they want to convey how they actually feel. I want to talk about the first album. We have is by a popular rap group. You might know them. NWA.
Yes, I've heard of them.
You heard of them? You heard of them? You accustomed?
Yes.
They have their album Straight Outta Compton. What are your thoughts about the album?
So, I feel like even the way it starts, you know, it is saying, this is us, this is our group, this is where we're from, and this is what happens. And it's one of these first instances, along with Public Enemy and Run DMC, kind of, where rappers show their state, where they're from, you know? And I feel like these men, these people, are using this as a way to share and be able to tell their story of what's going on. And a lot of people turn away from it because of how vulgar it is, as we were talking about earlier. But that was the truth. That's what was going on at the time, not only to these people, but to the overall like group of Compton itself and what was happening in that place at that time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I really do agree with you. I think the album is a staple, and you know, in the hip hop history.
Yeah.
But I want to get your thoughts on this line specifically. Straight Outta Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
So that's the first line of the album.
That's the first
on
line.
the first song. That is how it starts. I don't know if anyone's ever heard that. But the way it starts, it punches you in the face. And I feel like it's like, I'm here. This is what people see me as. You know, they see me as this crazy person from this dangerous place in LA where we have riots and gangs and all that. But this is me. I'm portraying myself like this to you. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be Ice Cube. I'm going to be that guy. And accepting that as part of themselves, you know, as them as a person.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I just want to look more deeply into the line.
Yeah.
However, it's not the first line of the song. But, you know, it is.
Well, it's one of the first
It's one of the first lines. It's up there after the, you know, play and stuff. But, when he says, like, crazy motherfucker and Ice Cube, I feel like, you know, when you really look into the line and look into like what Compton was and how, you know, people are portrayed from Compton, I feel like that really gets to the root of the issue. Like, like why would he be calling himself a crazy motherfucker? You know what I mean? And I feel like he calls himself that because that's how he's been made to feel by the community that he's surrounded by. And, you know, it really speaks to a deeper rooted issue, which, like, why would you call yourself crazy? It's almost like a way to like garner respect among the communities. I feel, you know, because I feel like when he calls himself Ice Cube, which is not his real name, of course, it's a way of making himself feel visible to the, you know, to the invisible community that is Compton. You know, they usually try to hide, you know, the ghettos of America and stuff like that. And I just feel like this is like his outcry to like, I'm here. You know what I mean?
This is me.
This is who I am. So I feel like when I listen to that line, it really gives me insight to what he thinks of himself. You know.
Kind of starting to unpack that a little bit more with the spiral of violence that we were talking about in class. That was really prevalent back then and is still prevalent today. That situation where the people of Compton want to be left alone and not attacked, and the police see them as negative, and there's that underlying animosity of race and injustice and all that just keeps this spiral going, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I mean, currently, looking at the Compton, it's still not great. I mean, 1 in 86 people are victims of a violent crime every year. There are around 100,000 people that live in Compton, that means over 1,200 people per year will be victim of a violent crime. And that is just the reported crimes. That is not the unreported things. That is not the stuff that they don't talk about. That is not the stuff that never gets solved. That is just what has been solved and addressed. It's not, the stuff that kind of, unfortunately, gets swept under the rug. But NWA took that story of police brutality completely public. And that led to an uproar from not only the police, because, of other lines from that album, but also the rest of the African American community, seeing and being able to have something to rally around, have someone said something, and everyone rallied around that. But the spiral of violence kept going down and down and down and down,
Yeah. Well, the next song I want to talk about, again, from NWA, Fuck the Police. They have a line, speaking of police brutality, I feel this is very fitting. Fuck the police, coming straight from the underground. A young got it bad because I'm brown. How do you feel about that line?
I don't really know how to address that line. And a lot of these lines addressing the police, I don't want to say I don't have a connection to them, but I don't understand them on more of a personal level. I've never had a relationship like that with a police officer. When I get pulled over, I don't have to worry about things like that, about what the police may do, And I feel like, for me, I feel fortunate for that, not having to worry, but I feel like that shouldn't be something anyone should have to worry about, And I feel like this line here is saying, like, not the establishment or not what people are trying to portray it to be, but more like, fuck what they're trying to do, what they're doing to us as a community, what has been happening. And unfortunately, like, one bad action will always outweigh the good actions, but bad actions like this shouldn't be happening in the first place, the brutality, the murders, all that. I feel like that shouldn't happen in the first place.
It's still happening.
And it still continues today. How do you feel about it, though? What's your perspective?
When I think about that line, the part of the line I love to focus on is they hate on, a young cause I'm brown. Like, I feel that's so powerful when you think about it. Because it really speaks back to the heart of the problem, which is, that underlying systemic racism in the community. Talking about the over-policing of black and brown neighborhoods and how, systemic, their relationship is with the law and how, it roots from just a terrible place. I feel like it's so powerful when they talk about it in that way. And when they say, fuck the police. Like you said, it's more what they're trying to do to us. They're trying to kill us in the streets. They don't care about us, so why would we care about them? Yeah, that's definitely what I think about the line when I first hear it.
Yeah, and kind of speaking about, you said kill us in the streets. I feel like that takes us into our next artist, who's also from Compton. Pulitzer Prize winner, artist, musician, legend of rap, Kendrick Lamar, one of the most forefront rappers of our generation and really of ever. Yeah, one of the greatest lyricists, storytellers, and just people in the community.
I'm not gonna give him that. People.
He has done so much.
No, we could do a whole podcast on just Kendrick Lamar.
On just one of his albums.
One of his songs, really. What he's done for the community is really revolutionary.
Yeah.
I just love it. You love to see it, man. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Now, there's this song, you may have heard of it.
Yeah.
It's called All Right.
Yeah.
Off to Pimp a Butterfly, one of Kendrick's, projects. What are your thoughts about the song in general?
I feel like it's him saying, he addresses all this stuff happening. All these, that's It's kind of the premise of the song and the verses. Is he addresses all of these actions and all the stuff that's happening to him and his community. But then in the chorus, it's basically like, you know what, screw them, screw this. We're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
If we stick together, we're going to get through it. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a great message. But you brought it up to me. I forgot the YouTuber's name. Chauncey. Yes. I want you to talk about that. And kind of what he did and what he said.
Well, Chauncey has a video called, I forget what it's called, I believe I have it in my notes. Kendrick Lamar's Alright song is a song of the decade. Mm-hmm. And in that video, he talks about his perspective on the song. And like me or most people, would usually go with, I think of it as a song of, perseverance and, triumphant, in like the black community. Yeah. But his, perspective on the song was much darker, I would say. It's more of a
more bleak.
More bleak, yeah. He sees it as a problem that will never end almost, mm-hmm. and one that we shouldn't be all right with it happening. You know what I mean? Police brutality. He sees it as, even though it's gonna keep on happening, we're gonna be fine in the end, which is not good. We want things to change. I feel like that outlook is very unique. I feel like one that should be more.
More talked about. Yeah, I feel like the community shouldn't have to settle for just being all right with these things happening.
Change.
I feel like instead of settling, they should continue to work for the change that they deserve as humans and as Americans. They deserve to be treated equally. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a really interesting perspective that I learned from this Chauncey guy. And
Chauncey.
Sean.
We might have to tag him.
Okay, we might. But
I'll give you the tag, Sean. I'll give you the tag. Don't worry about it.
But I feel like that really, that's the whole point of this project for me, is learning these different perspectives and these different views that initially I never thought of, or I never really recognized, because I never really looked that far, thought that far, looked that into it. And that is
special.
It's very special.
So we do it, man.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one of the lines in the album, specifically on the Alright song. Mm-hmm. We hate po-po, want to kill us in the streets for show. Yeah. What do you think about that line?
Again, kind of going back to the NWA line, it's not saying that they hate the police, but it's saying they hate what they're doing and addressing that directly. He is saying what they're doing. They want to kill us dead in the streets for show.
For show.
For show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it addresses that. I feel like it says, like, we want change, being like, this is what the police want to do to us. And that's why we don't like them. It's not because of the person or whatever. It's because, going back to that spiral of violence, it's the system. It's the way that they crack down and over police and over prosecute Black Americans, Black teens, and the Black society, that I have never had an experience with. Yeah. I've never had a worry like that.
Even when you think about when, like, the project was released, during like the height, basically, like the BLM stuff and the protests and like the Baltimore protests and things of that nature. It's so like powerful that he was like able to become the voice of the people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like really like shed a light on how we felt as a whole community. Like even what Tommy was bringing up, how like the police have systemically tried to, hinder Black and brown communities, with different things like the stop and frisk laws or 3-strike laws, things of that nature. I feel like he really like shed a light on like the corrupt nature that police can have. But it's really interesting to see like people outside of the culture, outside the community, and how they see the song. Like back to the Fox News reporter.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
said, what did he say?
That said that
Like hip hop
music has done more to damage black youth than
like anything
than
else.
systemic racism or something like that, something along those lines. And
when I think of that line specifically, I'm like, this is why we're here.
This is the issue. This is why we're here.
This is why
I'm here personally addressing this.
Because that's not. He missed the point completely. That's not the point of the song. It's a song talking about how even in the midst of all those issues, we're still able to persevere and
come together.
That misunderstanding is so dangerous, and what things it can lead to is so detrimental to specifically our communities. And it's just. I feel like it's our job to try to shed a light on that.
And I mean, even looking at like the album cover, it is a picture of perseverance. It's a picture of Kendrick Lamar at the White House with all his friends being like, we're here, we've done it.
Whole family.
It's his family. And I mean, Kendrick Lamar, as we said, is one of the most forefront guys. I personally want to take a quick second to talk about his other masterpiece of an album. His first one's To Pimp a Butterfly, which we just talked about. But yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
The other one, in my opinion, would be Good Kid, Mad City, which is more, I feel like, a story looking into his life and talking about, that's really what impacted me the most, is the reality of what he was talking about and what he was trying to tell the story of. The whole album is basically like a day in the life, a week in the life, seeing
just his life.
Kendrick Lamar in Compton as a teenager who didn't do good in school, turned to poetry and writing to be able to release these emotions, and then that turned into a very successful hip hop project and career. This and that's why we said it's literature, because Kendrick Lamar started from poems, and that's, just wanting to release this in a positive way instead of repeating that spiral down.
The cycle of violence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, looking at the song Mad City, this is where I kind of see Kendrick's musical brilliance the most, I see the song has 3 phases, really. The first phase is Kendrick, rapping quickly, almost exasperated, and he's telling the story of him running from this gang. It's speedy, and then there's an immediate beat shift, tone shift, everything, to a dark and gloomy and kind of interrogation feel, where he got jumped and kidnapped by a gang, and he's being interrogated by this gang, and it's that story of what can happen. In the music behind that, it's a great song, a lot of people know it, but it's more the message behind that I feel goes overlooked, and what he's trying to say on both of these albums and throughout his whole career.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Even when you look at songs like, all the peer pressure, it describes, the environment he grew up in, and what he had to do to be seen as cool in the community, and to hang with his friends, and it really just opens up a different perspective that a lot of people don't really see. And neither of us are Kendrick Lamar. We can't actually tell you how he actually feels about the police and things of that nature, but I feel like conversation is the most important thing we need to have. I feel like that needs to happen more in the communities.
An open channel of discussion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, moving to Joey Badass. He has an album called All American Badass. And in this album, he talks about a specific line in Free of the Free. They disorganized my people, made us all loners, still got the last names of our slave owners. What do you think about that line?
So looking at that, historically, people in African Americans in the 1800s got the last name of their slave owners. And I feel like he's addressing the government and the system and saying they jumbled up my people, put us down, stuck us in a corner, put us away from everyone else, yet we still are tagged from 150 years ago from something we were forced to do and taken away from our homes, put in a box, put in somewhere where we can't live the way we want to live. And I feel like it addresses that in a really, really powerful way. And I feel like that's the most important part. I feel like those last names and that is what needs to kind of be talked about a little bit more.
Especially the part when they talk about they disorganized my people, made us all loners. I feel like that's a very powerful line in general. Like when you really think about how most black people got here, is through this terrible process, of slavery, and it really shows the lengths they went to destroy us as a people. Yeah, and I feel like that's so crazy to think about, and just how this they tried so hard to stop us all. But I feel like what we really need to look at is the last name part, the last name of our slave owners. I feel like that's an incredibly powerful line. Yeah. When you look at, the effects that taking the last name has on, a whole culture, taking away their past, so they don't know anything about the future, I feel like that it shows the effects, the underlying effects that slavery still has on the community. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like looking more at Joey, he has another line that I'm really interested in. A lot of times in modern culture with the BLM movement, there's a sort of peer pressure almost. Not a peer pressure to do the right thing, I feel like people should be doing the right thing regardless, but social media wise, with in the past hashtags, the black square on your Instagram, it's like, if it almost feels like, especially to me as a white person, like if I don't post this, does that make me racist? Does that make me a racist if I don't post this? Does that mean I'm not friends with black people? It doesn't, but it feels like there could be that stigma if you don't do that, and he completely addresses that. Back in 2017, in this same album where he says, justice won't be served by a hashtag, and that's the very reason I ask that, what are we to do? People are trying to do something through using a hashtag, but that's not the thing that you need to do. I feel like actions speak so much louder than words, and I feel like you need to do something instead of just saying I'm with you,
Yeah, nah. We're gonna need more.
Show that you're with them.
Yeah, you gotta show, I feel like that line is so powerful. It's such a call to action. I feel like it calls anyone out that is, posting a little Instagram, story, whatever, talking about racism and how it affects communities. It's like, if you really care, you'll be out there.
Yeah, and I feel like there is that point of bringing awareness is something that needs to be done. That's why we're here. But this line directly is why I'm here, doing my due diligence and my research and being able to bring that to view for other people, I feel like that's what I'm to do, being able to bring awareness in a way that's not just posting something on Instagram, but being able to really look into these people's lives and their stories and what's been going on, and being able to share that in a way that is constructive and positive, in a way that doesn't hurt anyone.
Leads to change.
It does.
It's a conversation. Yeah. When I hear the line, I do think about the Catholic social teachings of rights and responsibility and call it family. Yeah. It's our job to protect these communities that are disenfranchised and are cut off from everyone else politically and economically, to find the common good for all of us. And I believe that everyone has the right to life and be treated with human dignity, most of all. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I feel like it is that call to action to be able to see, we need to come together, not as two separate sides, not as black and white or whatever. We need to come together as people, not politics, not race, but as Americans. We need to come together And
I even as Americans, you know.
Yeah, love each other.
We're human beings. At the end
Be there for each other. We're all the same.
All the same.
All
the blood red, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We all
and
the same.
I feel like that's the most important part of all this is being able to not only realize the problems, but also be able to address them in a way that's constructive and positive and brings about discussion, because discussion is one of the first steps to change.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to touch on at all?
I think we did a great job.
I think you did too. I really did. Miss Redigan, I want to take a little time to thank you very much for the opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I gained a lot from this experience.
For sure.
You know?
It's definitely crazy to
look
to see like how much you can learn off of just one line of a song, you know, that you might you know, not even think of usually. It means so much. It has so much like packed into it. I think it's definitely incredible to see.
Yeah, and to be able to have a way of looking at these people's stories, you know. I had no idea any of this stuff before coming into this. And that's what was most impactful for me as a white man, is to be able to see what these people are going through. And I feel like that is what will bring about this change. So I wanted to thank you for the opportunity, for letting us work together, letting us do it like this. And
I want to thank you, Tommy, for
I want to thank you too.
Hey!
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Tommy.
My name is Charles.
Have a good one today. Enjoy.